Just doing a quick sound check. Not entirely sure this is working. Microphone. Perfect. Awesome. Good morning. Hope you're having a fantastic start to your Monday. And Australians, I hope you've had a fantastic Monday. Wanted to jump on quickly to talk about top self-soothing behaviors to help with emotional eating, to help with cure anxiety a bit, just de-stress in general. And I thought that more than the ladies just inside the MWM club, this will help a lot of. Um, it's something that we deal with day to day in our lives. It's something we deal day to day in our coaching practice. Um, Emotional eating, just stress of everyday life, anxiety that comes around for you in spades in menopause. And I wanted to give you some tips today that we use inside the NYM Club, because basically what self-soothing is, it's an emotional regulation strategy that is it's used to kind of bring us back to baseline. It's used to kind of regain that equilibrium after a particularly upsetting event. Whether it's a boss having a shout at you, whether it is there's been a little an accident in the family. A family member's been taken to hospital. That it's a particularly upsetting event. Now, most of us are familiar with soothing others when they're upset or afraid. Especially if you've had children. You give them a cuddle. That you know how to generally soothe others. You make someone, if someone's had a particularly stressful day, you make someone a cup of cocoa or something like that, or maybe it's an alcoholic beverage. I always think of those movies when you've had a stressful day, they come back, open the fridge, pour a bottle of wine. That's a soothing event. Maybe not the most optimal, but when we're triggered as adults, it's really difficult to regulate potentially disruptive emotions like anger, fear, sadness, especially in a public space like work, or you're out in a restaurant or something like that. So when you don't have self-soothing strategies, whether they're inadequate, it's going to disrupt the intimate relationships with your partner, with the work colleagues, if you're having a moment. And that's where conflicts arise. So what self-soothing does is it resets bodily systems after that kind of acute stress response, that real sharp stress response, and it just helps you regain homeostasis, which is that kind of equilibrium. And let's face it, all people need soothing after a shock, after whether it's trauma, a particularly upsetting event. And a lot of common soothing behaviors include, alcoholic drink, tub of ice cream in the freezer, but they cause additional problems, right? And so if you're looking to lose weight, those two things are not the best thing. So a lot of people obviously use social support. Sometimes that's not needed. So that self-support is really needed, and it's really important. And hey, it's not easy to practice. Often, if it's even more difficult to practice, it's probably when it's most needed. When it's needed at the most. There is that kind of temporary overwhelm that reduces our capacity to make these choices that are going to benefit us. Like to engage, if you're particularly stressed, your last thing to want to do is engage in positive self-soothing behaviors. Now, there's something we use a lot of CBT, cognitive behavioral therapy, inside the MWM Club, right? And this is kind of one of the third wave behavioral therapies, which is called dialectical behavioral therapy, and it has its roots in CBT. But basically, the concept is um, the individual, their coping methods at the time were the best that they could regulate. Those deeply distressing emotions, the alcohol and the ice cream, that's the best that they could do right there. You need to learn to um, what your tolerance entails, because your self-learning, self-soothing techniques are going to have to regulate your emotions without resorting to self-defeating behaviors like my freezer's over there, so I'm pointing over there. Like go into the freezer. You're going to have to learn to self-soothe without, and especially if your goal is to lose weight, or you've got some sort of bipolar disorder, anxiety and stuff. Reaching for alcohol is not going to. It's going to be a self-defeating behavior. It's going to temporarily numb the pain, but there are other options that are going to be far better for you in the long run. If you're trying to lose weight, going for that tub of ice cream is a self-defeating behavior. It might help with the anxiety response straight away. Long term, it's not going to lead to a nice waistline. Now, one way that we recommend that you acquire self-soothing skills is to ask yourself to create a sort of self-soothing box or a toolkit, and typically it's just objects or reminders of how to soothe all of your five senses. You know, comforting smells like scented candles, essential oils, body lotion, really nice taste like herbal teas, favorite snacks, favorite things to touch. You got to really hit all the senses. You got sweaters. You might have had a particular wrap or a nightie or something when you were younger. I always, there's a couple of real things that stand out to me. It's always my cousin who used to use a nine eye, and he took wherever he went. And one of our members, Tanya, who loves Turkish delights because it reminded her of her dad. So these are things, they're comforting sights. It could be just like, because obviously you need a visual thing. It could be a picture of your pet. It could be a photo of someone you really care about. Maybe someone's not really that's not with us anymore. It could be your favorite music, because obviously you want some auditory stimulation as well. It could be a meditation track. It doesn't matter, but sometimes we have a home sort of toolkit, and then we have a mobile self-soothing toolkit, and that's really cool because it's good for mental health. A lot of us know from direct personal experience that self-soothing toolkits, whether it's called that or not, they're essential for mental health. Like when we're triggered by something and we experience this strong emotional reaction, what it's normal to kind of counter this immediately is horrible experience, and then you counter it with the soothing experience. Sometimes it's a hug from a trusted person to kind of ease that distress and kind of regain that equilibrium. So yeah, some of the self-soothing behaviors that I want to talk about, like we they lead to other problems. So if you're drinking alcohol, if you're emotionally eating, if you're binge watching TV, if you're compulsive gaming, if you're internet surfing, you're on TikTok all hours of the day, you're on Facebook, you're looking at, YouTube, whatever it is, they might be effective in the short term, but that result is probably going to be, it's more of an experiential avoidance that leads to long-term problems down the path. So hey, I want you to rather take up one of the kind of things that I'm going to, at least one of the following kind of behaviors I want to talk about when life challenges you and threatens to overwhelm you. Number one is like, it's kind of change the environment. It is possible to, even for a few minutes, to go outside, focus on greenery, just change the environment. Even if you go to the toilet and put some music in, you find that kind of indoor space where you can just be with yourself. Just change that environment, because it's, even though at work you can go to the bathroom and just put on some music. So that's massive, just to get you out of that kind of stressful response. You have to stretch. Like I feel that stretching and movement is so undervalued, but stretch for 5 minutes and remove any sort of that negative energy inside of you. There's a, like, after you get receive news from upsetting news or shock, our bodies kind of respond by freezing, and I just think that a few some simple, just moving the body around, trunk twists, neck rotations, bends at the hips, a few squats, whatever it is, just to get some blood circulating. Touch the toes, bend over, touch the toes. You know, just shift that let's say, pardon my French, shit energy. Um, one of the methods we use is another one, is taking a shower or a bath. Obviously, having a bath, glass of wine, bubbles, fresh towel. That's nice. That's a nice soothing one. Forget about the wine. Everything else is fantastic. Number four would be kind of nice imagery to look at. It's burning candles, the flickering of the candles, soft lights, picture of loved ones, favorite places, perhaps some kind of framed inspirational resilience quotes for you, or affirmations that you would repeat back to yourself in um, when times are particularly tough. you know Soothing music is a good one. Listening to your favorite tracks that have sort of a calming effect, and one of the we even have one on our YouTube, relaxing music videos for that sort of stress relief and meditation and stuff. Um, and the smells as well, as it's soothing smells, creating these pleasant smells by using sort of an essential oil diffuser, a scented candle, incense, or even just some kind of scented hand lotion. And you've just got a little squib there, and you squib it up, and you basically moisturize your hands with that scented hand lotion. And it's a soothing smell for you. Maybe it's a smell that you remember from, way back when. There's a nice memory attached to it. And then the last one is how you talk to yourself. You got to speak compassionately to yourself, and speak it aloud, because if you talk to yourself like a good friend would, and you give yourself the grace to be off balance sometimes, and the space to be just as you are, just for a while, it's going to mean a lot to you. Like, we have a quote on our board that says, treat yourself like someone you are responsible for helping. And and that just kind of speaks volumes. It speaks absolute volumes, because we're our worst critic. So we need to kind of speak with ourselves in compassion. I said top seven, but I'm going to give you three self-soothing, um, basically self-soothing coping skills for anxiety, because it's something that we see a lot inside our group. A lot of people, um, this is something we do inside the MWM club, worksheets and stuff like that. But focused breathing is the number one here. With this, exhale more slowly than you inhale, and that is going to soothe anxiety super quick, right? There's kind of a 3 to 4 to 5 breathing technique, and that is kind of simply breathing in for a count of three, hold your breath for a count of four, and breathe out for a count of five. That's something you should try. Try that, maybe I would say at least 8 times round. So 8 cycles of that, and see how you feel. Guaranteed, 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 you're in a better position than when you first started. Number two is kind of a self-soothing touch. You know, one of the ways you can do this is put your right hand on your heart, right, and your left hand on your belly. Hope that's looks, maybe the camera's flipped. All right hand on your heart, left hand on your belly, and focus your attention on the rising and falling of your breath, right? And a lot of the time, we would try, when we breathe, we try and do 2/3 into our belly and the last third into our lungs. Okay, so we're letting our diaphragm do a lot of the work there. That is going to be massive. That sort of breathing, coupled with the focused breathing, is going to be fantastic for the anxiety. Number the last one is mindful walking. I just feel that getting grounded by moving your body mindfully, a short walk, 15 minutes, we encourage at the beginning of your day, before the day has able to kind of get a grip on you. Try and get out in nature, try and go for a walk in the park, and just kind of take in your surroundings, mindfully, with all the kind of five senses that we have available, or is powerfully uplifting and soothing emotion of wonder, that puts those stressors on the back burner, puts them into perspective, while kind of increasing that sort of vitality. So get out there, get moving, and use these. These aren't easy to do. The easiest thing to do is go and reach for a glass of wine, or a chocolate bar, or have fast food. That is the easiest thing to do. But these kind of self-defeating, self-sabotaging behaviors are keeping you stuck in this loop. And I promise you, like, when you break this cycle, when you break this loop, life is fantastic. It's fantastic. You start to live with confidence. You start to live as the person that you know you are. You start to live with vitality. And these things, when you have these things, when you're on the road to just constantly getting closer to the person that you always knew you could be, things start to be amazing. Your relationship with your partner is better. Your relationship with your children are better. Your relationship with your friends is better. Your relationship at work is better. Things become just infinitely better. That is Mindset Monday. Obviously, we've gone live in a few places: MYM Club, a support group, YouTube, and stuff like that. If you do have any questions, drop them in the comment box below. If you want to find out and you're not a part of the MYM Club, then comment MYM. We'll reach out to you and see if we can help. Looking forward to a really great week. I hope that everybody has a fantastic week. I know that I will try. and have a great week. But I hope you do. Hey, Amanda. Just gonna say hello to everyone. Hello, Desley. And Teresa's saying she's walking, listening to you. And Linda is. Hey, Linda, how are you going? You are loud and clear. Hey there, Mr. Dean. And then Penny said, Debbie, sorry. And then Patty says, hello, everyone. Yeah, if there's any questions about this kind of stuff, then please, please, please reach out, because the most important thing is that any sort of big change, whether it's weight loss, whether it's kind of curing anxiety, it always has to start with awareness. Okay, I have this problem. Now, what can I do? If it's weight loss, I have these 20 kilos I want to shift. What can I do from here? I am aware that I am overweight. Now, what do I need to do about it? Okay, I need to probably have a look at my food, my sleep, my movement, my stress. Okay, if I have anxiety, what is the particular thing that's triggering my anxiety? Is it when I leave the house? Is it particular work situations? Is it um, is it a romantic situation? When you always start with awareness first before you move on to the next plan, the next step, because now you're like, okay, I've got this problem. Cool. What can I do about it? What can I do about it? Or instead of what can having this wine is gonna dampen my dampen my response. I was just reading Amanda's thingy. My hardest part is, why do I reach for salt and vinegar chips only at night? Depends on the amount of food you're having throughout the day. Depends on so many things. The easiest thing is looking at the food as a whole, but also looking at the sleep, because could it be linked to purely poor sleep the night prior, and that's how you're dealing with that particularly stressful situation. Because if you have, let's say you have one night of poor sleep and you have 6 hours instead of 8 hours, you have your inflammatory cascades are up 80% just off one night of poor sleep. So imagine when you're going through menopause, if you're having consistent broken nights of sleep, how that affects your cognition, how that affects your mood, how that affects your weight, and if I'm tired. The best thing is to address why you're tired, and then the food around that, Amanda. I think that food, stress, sleep are going to be the things for you. A lot of the time, cravings aren't because we are lacking a particular thing. Oh, I'm lacking salt. I'm lacking vinegar in my, I'm lacking crisps. It's not about that. It's about understanding the picture as a whole, because a lot of the time it's not like, oh, I'm being too restrictive. That is often sometimes the case with a lot of people that initially join the program, and they're like, whoa, I can have all these things. Yes, you can have all these things, and we're teaching you why you can have all these things. Wow, fear of having to go bathroom, so avoid walks, drives it crazy. I don't know what that means. Fear of having to go to the bathroom, so avoid walks. Oh, okay. So having to go to the bathroom when you're out, public bathroom. Well, I also, if I've been to the gym as well, I notice it. Thanks to yeah, no worries. I think I don't normally do a Q&A on mindset, but it's pretty nice. I might just do a proper Q&A inside the support group in a second. Anyway, I'm going to leave you because I got calls to get to, and Ruth's probably waiting for me. All right, I'll speak to you soon, and have a great week.